Namaste. Today I decided to be a little vulnerable and give you guys a little of my living situation. Although what I'm going to inform you guys on is not y'all problem, it's not y'all concern. I'm just being vulnerable with you guys to let you guys know that, you know, in the on your spiritual journey, everything isn't all peaches and cream. And I just want you guys to know, just because of my content and what I do post, which is literally my lifestyle, is just literally what I do all the time. I just like to share my journey with you guys, just because I'm doing this to inspire and motivate. And while I'm on this journey, I just decided to share it, to inform or inspire others, that could be going through the same situation or are in the same situation that they are viewing or think they're alone. Just think they're alone. This is for you guys. So, as of 2020, 2020, I was able to, me and my fiance was able to establish our first home for moving down here from Chicago. In 2015, we moved down here to Mississippi and was staying with her relatives up until the time we found our own home, which was in 2020. So I'm gonna skip there and jump all the way to when we found our own home. So when we found our own home, we were renting a house from a lady, an old lady named I can't recall her name. I can't really recall her. Miss Millie, I believe her name was Miss Millie, if I'm not mistaken. And she was living in Forest, Mississippi, and that's where we were stationed, living as well in Forest, Mississippi. So when I initially ran across the for rent sign at this home, and I decided to inquire about this for rent sale, so I end up obtaining. To make a long story short, we end up meeting the owner of the property. Her name was Miss Millie, and we came to an agreement on renting the home. So we rented from her from 2020 all the way up to, I think it was 2021, all the way up until 2020. No, it was 20. Yeah, it was 2020. It was 2020. We stayed there from 2020 to, no, my mistake. It was 2018 when we moved in there. We stayed from 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22. We stayed there for 4 years. We stayed there from 2018 to 2022. And, 2021. And we ran across problems with the roof, with the with the foundation. But we didn't, we was renting. It was our first home, and we, was trying to get out of the previous living situation we were in. And so we rented the home from her, and did a lot of the maintenance manually ourselves, because at the time we thought it would be smarter to save a little money by, doing little minor repairs around, that the home needed, which was not a problem. The house was already old, and it came with wear and tear. We took it as is because, it was our own. We was going to build it into what we wanted it to. So Miss Millie ended up deciding to move from Mississippi to, I think, California. So she was selling her property, and she, without us knowing, we didn't even care. She ended up selling it to a guy named Stephen Goodlow. When we first met Stephen Goodlow, he seemed to be an all right guy. Stephen Goodlow turned out to be a slumlord. Our roof caved in, from, wear and tear, the home being old. The roof, caved in, destroyed a couple of our TVs, and, He wouldn't repair it right away. He just kept giving us excuse after excuse. And when he finally did repair it, it was this. At first, it wasn't an issue, but then he started sliding inquiries about us paying him back for repairing the roof, as if this wasn't his home, as this wasn't his property. So we just, didn't, give it a second thought. The porch end up caving in. I was actually sitting on the porch when the porch caved in, and now he had to repair the porch. So technically, all he did was repair the roof and the porch, and then slid $100 in on the rent. At first, we was paying $500 a month. Then it went from 500 to 600 a month. We didn't have a problem. We paid that for the next couple of years until the floor where the sink was, the floor started wearing and tearing. It's getting old. The wood was old. So, weight weighed this area down and it started caving in. So now it's time for him to fix the floor. He had this issue about fixing the floor. Stephen Goodlow did not want to fix the floor. So he gave us this problem. I wanted to take him to court, but my fiance did, and she thought that it would still be him giving us problems. If we took him to court and he was still our landlord, he was going to give us continued problems. So she was like, hey, we should just move. I was like, we don't have anywhere to move, really. But come to find out, it was moving back with her relatives. And at the time, it wasn't a good idea moving with them in the first place. So, we had that experience. Then once we found our own crib, I didn't want to go through that no more. So now it's time for us to, decide on moving back with them, because we was moving out of Stephen Goodlow's home without him knowing, because of the repairs he didn't want to do unless we reimbursed him. So we end up leaving the home without him knowing. Wasn't a problem. We end up moving back with her mom, and Lord knows that was the wrong thing to do, because ever since then, I mean, at the time I was working at a chicken plant for about 4 years. Everything was good. I end up losing the chicken plant job, getting shot a few times. So, on the healing process, I end up losing my job because I took 401k out, and I wasn't at the job long enough to obtain FMLA. I was only there long enough to get a medical leave, which was 6 months. I don't get any payment from that. I have to either collect unemployment or whatever. So I end up taking my 401k out, end up losing my job. They terminated me for that. And I guess taking out your 401k lets them know that you are now quitting, but it wasn't the issue. I was actually needing money because of bills. So I end up losing that job after I got shot. I started healing, and then I end up finding a job at Signal Energy. Here is where this was my regular hat, being an electrical helper. And here is when they promoted me to lead acting foreman. Lead acting foreman, as you can see, when you're just the electrical helper, it's a plain hat. But when you get promoted, they give you another hat with your name on the side, and with a green strip letting you know that you're a lead acting foreman. I end up losing that job because two limited beings decided that they wanted to fight at 7 o'clock in the rising doing stretching being. These guys get to fighting and they start shooting. These guys were from the same area I'm from, Forest, Mississippi. So Signal Energy thought it was a good idea to fire everybody from Forest, Mississippi, even the ones who had nothing to do with it, even though they caught the ones who, was the reason for the situation, the tragic situation that happened. That caused me to have PTSD. So now every time I hear real loud shots, I'm ducking or whatever the case may be. But they lied to us. Signal Energy lied to us, told us they was trying to make the job more safer for us, but the whole time they was actually replacing us. And they provided false unemployment information, false counseling information. They provided false um, um, uh, they gave us fake numbers to the headquarters and things like that. So we eventually couldn't do nothing about that situation. So we ended up losing that job, and that was more like a career. I was getting paid like $18 an hour. So every 2 weeks I was bringing home like $2,500. So we did like 10, 12 hours a day. It was pretty good, and sometimes I'll bring home a little more than that. So after that, I end up, losing that job. That was last year of 2022. So lately, I've been, ever since then, I've been unemployed, and it's been a year. Well, in May, it will be a year that I've been unemployed. So I've been applying myself all the time. Down here in Mississippi, it's very hard to get a job. It's either who you know or what you know, or you got to be related to somebody that's related to somebody that's in a higher position, or just related to somebody that's in a higher position for you to get it, or just lucky enough to get the position because a lot of people quit their jobs during tax time and things like that. So the turnover rate is pretty high down here, but the actual um, obtaining the employment is pretty difficult. As you know, the Jim Crow law in Mississippi has been passed, so that makes it even hard. It's very racist. It's very racist down here, but sometimes that's not the issue with jobs. It's really the fact of us holding each other back. Like it will be our own kind keeping us from getting a position because they want to hire one of their friends or somebody they know or boyfriend or whatever the case may be. So to make a long story short, I've been unemployed there. So I've been just applying, and now I've applied to a place called CVS, and through the acts of the universe, I was able to ace the interview, and they offered me the position. Now I have to wait for my background to come back before I get hired. And I do have a felon on my background, but it's a long story, something I had to cop out for. Other than that, I would have been still locked up for basically being at the wrong place at the wrong time, but being the oldest person at that place at the wrong time is the reason why I'm in the have the felony. I had to cop out for a felony. So to make a long story short, I was on 24 months probation and da 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 da. I've been on this healing journey for the last 4 years after my fiance stepped out on me. It was I experienced infidelity. My fiance stepped out on me, and that kind of like broke me because I have no family down here, and I had no one to talk to, no one to go to. So it put me in hermit mode, and it was kind of like changing the person I was becoming, and I didn't like it. So I ran across meditation and breathing techniques, prana, pranayama. It is the art of breathing. So for the last 4 years, I've been doing that, and it's been going great. And basically, for the last past year, it's been hard to find jobs. I get no help, no leads, no resources, none of that. And but since we stay with my fiance's mom, my fiance, when we first moved here, I was working. My fiance is still working, and we both went half on paying all the utilities. And the mom, she just pays the mortgage for her home, and we take care of the utilities. So as since I've been off work, my fiance's been handling, all the utilities until I can, find a job to further help assist her with the utilities, and then further find us another home to where we can move out and live in our own place. But I've since the mom husband died, she was down and out and depressed, and we came and had a talk with her prior to moving in, and was trying to figure out how we was going to go about the arrangements around here. So the agreement was for us to just pay the utilities, and she'll pay mortgage. Now anything out of that is not our issue. So I took it upon myself. She has an animal. She wanted to give the animal away. I was like, no, I will come and take care of the animal. At this time, we were still, this was right before we moved here. We were still living in our old home. She wanted us to take the dog, and we didn't want to take the dog because it was her husband's dog that passed away, and I just thought it would be a good idea to just take care of the dog. So I was like, I'll take the responsibility of taking care of the dog. So I came over all the time and, picked up the feces, from the dog, and fed the dog and washed the dog and walked the dog and do all that. I still do that till this day now that we stay with her, which is not my responsibility. It's just something I took on to just further help her out of her depression. that is time consuming, which could cost, because you can either do it or you have to pay someone to do that. So I took it upon myself to help her do that. I also took it upon myself to help her with a yard and, mow her yard and keep her yard upkept and clean up in her home. And when they go to work, they don't have to wash dishes. They don't have to sweep and mop. They don't have to clean up. They don't have to take out garbages. They don't have to um, um, do any of those things. Those are things that I do, and I made myself responsible for doing. Not really responsible for doing, but I did make myself responsible for doing those things. So still to this day, I do all of those things. All they go, all they do is go to work, come home, and if they choose to want to do their hair, or she chooses that she wants to cook, those things she did. But outside of that, like as far as cleaning up her own room, that's the only thing she do, clean up their own room. But I do all the rest of it. I mow the yards. I pick up the dog. I take care of the dog. I do landscaping. I clean the home. I wash the dishes. I just keep it neat. I do small repairs, big repairs. I just actually installed her toilet, her sink, and painted her walls, her mom walls in her personal bathroom. Something that is time consuming and also costs too. So what I'm saying, to make a long story short, is that people, when you need employment or a job or you're down and out, people tend to use you for what you are capable of, and then turn around and make it seem like as if, you know, by you not having a job, it's kind of interfering or taking from them. So instead of them, you know, helping you with resources, they don't, and still allow you to do things for them around their home that will cost them if you didn't do it. So to make a long story short, I was just saying, like, I had went through this situation today where I was sleeping. I was woke up out of my sleep. I was awakened out of my sleep by the mom talking about how she had a resource for me to get employed, and the resource was for Walmart. But I woke up and, came to see what she wanted, and she said she thought she had a lead to whereas I can get employed at Walmart, but she couldn't find it. Da 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 da. But the way she did it, and the way she was saying it, as if like I'm over, like she's actually irritated by me being at her home and not working, which isn't her problem, because every single day I'm always applying myself and filling out jobs, and it's not like I'm living here for free. I mean, my fiance is backing me up until I can get employed, which I am technically almost employed at CVS. Just got to wait for my background to come back. But it was just the way she did it, and I was wondering, like, if you really want me to work so bad, if me not working is bothering you, then how come you won't pay me for the things that I do around here, like mowing the lawn, keeping your house clean, and doing small and huge repairs? Like I just mentioned, I just did our entire bathroom. I painted the walls. I installed her sink. I installed her toilet. All of that cost. If I wasn't here to do it, someone else would have to do it. Now, I know it's a lot of y'all saying, like, why won't you just mention it? Woo wop the bam, mention that your time is, you know your own worth. So why won't you just mention it to her that, some of the things that I'm doing kind of is it costs, my time costs. So, make some type of agreement to where she can pay me for the services I do for her. But I mean, that seems about right. It makes a lot of sense. But in this situation, when you're dealing with people that aren't out for your best interest, it wouldn't be smart to do that, because that can cause friction between, me and her, or she could take some type of offense to it. And I'm not the I don't like to, I'm not with all the drama and the back and forth. I'm not with that. What I'm trying to just, you know, complete my journey and, obtain some employment without, any extra um, obstacles. So what I'm saying is, I know that would have been the uh, 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 um, the would have been a great idea, but mentioning that to them probably would have, caused some, every cause has an effect, and I don't want the effect of it all because I really ain't got the energy for it, and I've been working on myself for a long time, and sometimes I've just been observing, watching things, and those things could turn, sometimes, you know, uh, you can turn something, being fed up with something, your silence, the lack of you responding to it and acting on silence could be the best solution, because sometimes things could make you irritated, or you could be already irritated with something and you could just blow it out of proportion, even though you might be right about it's just how you went about it. And so I'm not really just trying to have that situation happen to me again. I just found it very odd that, you thought that it was okay to wake me up out of my sleep to tell me about a resource that you don't have, and actually be bothered by my presence being under you, as if, you're tired of me being here without a job, when you could be paying me for my services that I do for you around here. But that's, how people are these days. I just don't understand it. And I've mentioned it to my fiance a lot of times, and it just go in one ear and out the other. I don't think she wants to, have that conversation with their mom, because it's gonna eventually make our living situation a little worse. And that's what we're trying to do, at least get into our own home, or survive this situation without any extra obstacles, if that makes sense. So I just came to you guys just to, be vulnerable with you guys for a moment, to let you all know my current situation. And it's not always peaches and cream with everyone. And, even though you see my content, it's motivational and inspiring. I'm also still going through things, but I choose not to let it bleed into others' life, because it's not their situation, and I think it's unfair to place your obstacles on someone else's road when they just paved their road and it's smooth. So I appreciate y'all for listening, and feel free to comment down below if you can relate, if this is relatable or familiar to any one of you guys. And just drop down in the comments, let me know what you think or how you feel, or if this has happened to you, or if you're currently going through it or have been through it. I'm also here to listen as well. So just stop down in the comments. I appreciate y'all for your attention, for your ear, and may the moments be in your favor. Happy New Year as well. Happy new beginnings. Peace, love, light, prosperity, abundance, chaos, and creation. Ashe.